faithfully delivering value and interpreting global bestsellers. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today we're diving into the book Unconditional Parenting. Ever had this kind of experience? When a kid won't stop crying, many parents either say, "Stop crying now," or "I'll cancel tomorrow's trip to the amusement park." Or they might say, "If you quit crying, I'll get you an ice cream." When a child flunks a test, some parents say, "You bombed this time and still want toys? I won't buy you anything." Others might say, "You gotta try harder. If you ace it next time, I'll take you to Disneyland." Sound familiar, huh? Angry parents often threaten their kids, while encouraging ones dangle rewards. Alfie Kohn, a top American parenting expert, believes threats and rewards share the same core. He calls this conditional parenting. Kids only get love when they meet parents' expectations. The opposite is unconditional parenting, meaning the love parents give. It's got nothing to do with what the kid does. Parents love them unreservedly, achievements or not. No strings attached. In other words, kids don't earn love. They get it because they're their parents' children. Unconditional parenting. After its release, the book won praise from parenting experts worldwide. Dr. William Sears of The Baby Book and Yen-Jean Lee of A Good Mom is Better Than a Good Teacher all endorse it as a key rule, urging parents to read it. Next, I'll break down this theory through two questions. First, why promote unconditional parenting? Second, how do you practice unconditional parenting? Let's tackle the first question. Why promote unconditional parenting? Take an example. After the author's second child was born, the 4-year-old firstborn, Abigail, suddenly got all stubborn and mischievous. Like, she agreed to bathe after dinner, but then backed out. When reminded, Abigail screamed, couldn't be soothed, and woke the baby. When your kid acts totally unreasonable like this, what would you do? Would you criticize your child harshly? Or punish them by canceling story time? Probably many parents would say yes, and that's not surprising, because criticism and punishment tell kids your love stops or rewards get revoked. That's conditional parenting's go-to move. Many parents think being strict shows kids their behavior isn't allowed. Plus, it helps parents establish authority, but the author didn't do this. He waited till the tantrum passed, bathed the child, then cuddled them for bedtime stories like always. After the story, both child and adult were relaxed. Then the author asked why they acted that way. Were they afraid mom and dad would care less after the baby came? The child admitted fearing neglect and wanting constant parental love. The author kept reassuring that no sibling or situation would weaken their love. This shows the core difference between conditional and unconditional parenting. Conditional parenting focuses on behavior, using tactics to correct it. So it believes after bath refusal or screaming, kids shouldn't get stories or hugs. If you do, kids might think waking babies or skipping baths is okay. Parental love could then reinforce bad behavior, but unconditional parenting sees behavior as expressing inner needs. The child matters, not the actions, meaning behind the behavior lies a cause, fear, frustration. So parents should find the root cause, not suppress feelings. And hugs are crucial. They show unwavering love that eases negative emotions. Different parenting styles reflect different views on children's behavior. Conditional parenting advocates extra unrelated punishments for misbehavior. For example, if a child won't eat properly, storytime gets canceled. This essentially stresses that kids must learn a lesson from their behavior. This mindset views children's behavior negatively, assuming they'll take advantage of parents and push boundaries given the chance. If parents are nice after a mistake, kids don't feel loved unconditionally. They think, "Hey, no consequences even if I cause trouble." But unconditional parenting differs. Using the author's daughter as an example, he believed Abigail wasn't trying to upset them. She meant no harm, just communicating the only way she knew how. Abigail went to the Boston. This perspective is a vote of trust. Kids aren't intentionally misbehaving. Different parenting styles also reflect how people interact. Conditional parenting says, you get rewards for doing well. fail at something and you get punished. In other words, human interactions, even within families, tend toward economic transactions. True, in social contexts like boss-employee or consumer business relationships, it's purely transactional. But the author argues family bonds can't be defined by transactions. Family should be about mutual care built on love. Studies show those viewing marriage as transactional tend to nitpick and report lower satisfaction. Many parents feel their love remains constant regardless of methods. They're wholeheartedly devoted to their kids. But in reality, parental love and how kids receive it often don't align. And a survey of over 100 college students found many reported parents demanding achievements like winning awards or suppressing emotions to earn approval. Falling short or disobeying meant receiving less love. Didn't those parents love their children? Obviously not. Many surely believed they gave complete love. However, under conditional parenting, kids not only miss out on love, but also feel their bond with parents has soured. Like surveys show, they're more likely to resent and dislike their parents. What's worse, the long-term negative effects on kids under conditional parenting exceed parents' wildest imagination. American psychology pioneer Carl Rogers explained that if kids only get conditional love, they'll reject the parts of themselves that aren't valued. Ultimately, they'll believe they're only valuable when behaving in specific ways. And researchers at the University of Denver found that teens who feel they must earn parental approval end up disliking themselves. They create a false self during adolescence to appear lovable, often leading to depression and disconnection from their true selves. These teens might not even know who they are because they've changed themselves just to get approval. As they grow older, they feel they can't possibly meet the terms of this transaction. And meaning they see gaining others' kindness and love as a transaction. Since they're not good enough, they can't earn love, and others might abandon them anytime. Because of this, they're always trying to please others, bottling up dissatisfaction and anger. One study found that college students constantly worried about meeting others' expectations face higher anxiety, hostility, and defensiveness. And after rejection, they become irritable, depressed, or even self-destructive.
Worse yet, conditional parenting gets passed down. Kids raised conditionally.
When they become parents, they unconsciously repeat the cycle with their own children. Psychologists surveyed mothers about how they were parented as children. Results showed many moms felt loved only when living up to their parents' expectations. So even as adults, their self-worth stays low, setbacks make them feel like failures and worthless. Oh, and becoming moms didn't make them feel any better.
And without realizing it, they keep using the same parenting style, controlling, intervening, demanding kids meet their expectations.
So, the author believes conditional love not only fails to make kids meet expectations, but causes psychological issues that cost them dearly, even affecting the next generation's upbringing. Why? Well, the author hopes parents can love kids unconditionally, giving full support with zero strings attached. This love and support is exactly what gives kids the confidence to grow. Well, with unconditional parenting, they'll know even mistakes or disobeying won't affect parental love, no fear of losing it. And when disagreeing with parents, they'll think, even if mom doesn't agree, I know she still loves me. When failing a test or competition, they'll think, I messed up, but I know mom loves me anyway.
That wraps up part one.
Let's summarize. Why choose unconditional parenting? Because conditional parenting has flaws, it focuses on behavior, assumes kids exploit parents, and frames parent-child bonds as transactional. Kids raised conditionally long-term develop low self-esteem, depression, hurting their lives, and even the next generation. Unconditional parenting prioritizes kids' feelings, giving trust, care, and love so they grow without fear. So how exactly do we parent unconditionally? That's the second question we'll tackle next. First, the author introduces 13 principles of unconditional parenting. These principles help transition from conditional to unconditional, guiding parents to examine their motivations. To stay focused, I've condensed these 13 into 4 parts.
First, clarify your motivation for parenting.
What kind of child do we want to raise? Is it based on parental preferences or the child's own passions? Once motivation is clear, set long-term goals, like raising your child to be curious and eager to learn or raising them to be polite and responsible. Set long-term goals, and parents won't sweat the small stuff. Temporary wins or losses, whether the kid bombs one test or breaks a glass, suddenly seem way less important. Second, prioritize a strong parent-child relationship. Parents should always remember, nothing matters more than a healthy parent-child bond. If kids trust us, lean on us, and turn to us when they mess up, helping them gets easier. A strong bond makes kids feel safe and loved. Third, set expectations that match the child's age. So many parent-child conflicts boil down to unrealistic expectations, like demanding a 5-year-old sit still doing homework for an hour, or expecting a 7-year-old to fully own their choices. Remember, age matters. Parents must set expectations within their child's capabilities. Fourth, respect your child. Many parents habitually ignore a kid's needs, dismiss their feelings, and downplay their fears. They often say things like, "What do kids know?" Or "He's just throwing a tantrum. Ignore him." Imagine being a kid, hearing that constantly. How would you feel? Totally furious, right? Feeling disrespected. Kids may be small, but we must treat them as equals, honor their feelings and preferences. Now that we've covered the principles, let's dive into how to actually do unconditional parenting.
The author suggests focusing on 3 areas. First, mastering balanced criticism and praise. Unconditional parenting demands expressing love without strings attached.
But that doesn't mean parents can't criticize at all. We just need to learn how to criticize without going overboard. The author advises parents to remember 3 limits. First, limit how often you criticize, because constant negativity makes kids feel worthless. They might even give up trying, thinking they'll never please you anyway. Second, limit the scope of each criticism. Focus only on that specific misbehavior, don't expand endlessly, and never bring up past mistakes. Third, limit the intensity of each criticism. There's an old saying, a good drum doesn't need heavy beating. That's actually about criticism intensity. Parents just need to deliver the message. Kids get it. Words already carry amplified weight. That's parents' inherent power. Adding rage only stresses kids more, weakening parental love. Ultimately, parents must teach problem-solving skills.
For example, if a 4-year-old hits others at preschool, besides correcting, explain how hitting hurts and pushes friends away.
Teach them to negotiate with peers or ask adults for help when conflicts arise. Or teachers.
If a 14-year-old fights a classmate, don't just scold. Investigate. Was your kid provoking or defending?
If they started it, explain fighting seriousness. If defending against bullying, talk to teachers or classmates to resolve the situation. Beyond criticism, watch out for behavior reinforcing praise. It's surprisingly damaging. What's behavior reinforcing praise? Say your kid aces a test. You happily call them smart and reward them with a toy. This praise reinforces the top score behavior, positive conditioning that's still conditional love. Meaning if they fail, no praise. Plus, they'll feel unintelligent. You might wonder, but what if my kid does excel? What then? That's where praise techniques come in. Instead of, I like that, pinpoint what impressed you. For a great essay, guide reflection. How did you decide to hook readers right from the opening? For instance, if your child draws well, describe what you see. Like, I notice you used such layered colors. Of course, parents can give gifts. Just don't tie them to praise or attach special meaning. Simply put, gifts come from love, not as rewards. Ultimately, work with your child toward goals. Don't weaponize criticism or praise. We're not opponents, no threats or bribes needed. Stand united, tackle setbacks together, celebrate wins jointly. Unconditional parenting, second aspect. Give kids decision-making power. Kids face countless choices, from daily outfits to future careers, but parents often restrict choices, fearing it'll create hassles. Say a kid wants muddy play instead of a picnic. Parents might refuse because laundry's troublesome. The author suggests when kids voice preferences, default to yes, patiently accepting the consequences. Mud play, wash the clothes, self-feeding mess, clean it up, yes should be parents' automatic response. This way, when you must say no, you need solid reasons, not just convenience. Truth is, bans are hard to enforce, like forbidding ice cream, then caving when other kids eat it at parties. This forced surrender makes parents feel manipulated, letting kids run wild. When real limits are needed later, kids won't take parents seriously. Constant no's also trap parents and kids in exhausting conflicts, miserable for both. So the best approach is to negotiate a solution with your child, letting them co-decide. The author once discussed kids' computer habits with several parents. One mom said helplessly, "What can we do in this digital age?" Another completely opposed it. She'd changed the Wi-Fi password to restrict access. The author disagreed with both methods. He believes parents should co-decide with kids about computer time. This approach extends to meals, dressing, bathing, and studying. Many parents might ask, what if the child chooses gaming over homework? This worried the author too. Kids' choices aren't always beneficial. When this happens, parents should discuss, why did you choose this? If the child reasonably schedules gaming before homework, that's acceptable. But if homework avoidance stems from difficulty or inattention, addressing that root cause matters more than just blocking gaming. Sometimes kids resist essential tasks, like visiting relatives. What should parents do then? The author suggests patience. Acknowledge their feelings. Explain the why. Don't force compliance. If a task isn't fun, be honest. Don't pretend it's exciting to trick them. But parents can creatively transform chores into games.
For example, if brushing teeth is a battle, pretend the toothbrush is a train entering a station. Mouth.
If a child dreads visiting relatives, offer choices elsewhere, like which toys to bring, or taking the subway versus bus. Regardless of methods, the most crucial thing is modeling the behavior you expect. When parents demand kids follow rules, they must follow them too. For example, if you tell your kid to turn off lights, do it yourself first. And when letting kids decide, avoid fake choices, that's crucial.
What's a fake choice? Say parents want a kid to wash dishes, and the kid refuses. They ask, wash now, or during your favorite TV show.
Clearly, that's no real choice at all.
It actually means, wash now, or you'll miss your show. That's a fake choice.
The parent's question is really a trick. Another fake choice, framing punishment as the kid's own decision. Parents warn, if homework isn't done, we'll cancel next week's allowance. If the kid fails, parents say, you chose to lose your allowance. But allowance is part of parenting. It shouldn't hinge on homework. Not doing homework only affects their learning.
Linking allowance to homework turns it into unpaid labor for parents.
Another fake choice. Parents already decided but go through the motions of letting the child choose. Like when buying a backpack, the parent likes red, but the kid wants white. The parent then lists reasons. White gets dirty. It won't match. To reject the kid's choice and push their own. Superficially offering choice, but actually deciding for them. Only by handing over choice without bias can kids feel true freedom and unconditional love.
Next, ensure kids receive these signals. That's the third aspect of unconditional parenting.
See things from the child's perspective. This is the most vital part, because ensuring they feel loved unconditionally is harder than just loving them. Only by seeing through their eyes can we truly understand their needs. Take this example. Tian Tian's mom takes her to visit Aunt Lu, an old friend she hasn't seen for years. Mom tells Tian Tian that Aunt Lu has a son around her age and reminds her to be polite and play nicely. After arriving at Aunt Lu's house, Mom chatted warmly with Aunt Lu and asked Tian Tian to go play with the little brother. But Tian Tian felt quite awkward. She's naturally introverted, didn't want to be with the strange little brother, and the books and toys he showed her were all about monster trucks. She didn't like it much either, so she ran to find Mom, but Mom told her the adults were chatting. After playing for a bit, Tian Tian found it not fun at all and just wanted to go home quickly. See, if parents just make demands on their children, but don't see the difficulties they face from their perspective, it might backfire. If parents try to see things from the child's perspective, they can uncover the truth. For example, when parents take their child shopping, the child always wants to be carried. Parents don't understand this request, but if they squat down to the child's height, they'll see that the child only sees adults' legs moving around, so they want to be lifted up for a better view. By seeing from the child's perspective, parents will understand and be more patient with the child's emotions. When a child makes a mistake, many parents immediately blame or nag the child. The author suggests parents change their approach. Talk less, ask more, and inquire why the child did it. Take another example. A child came home and scattered snacks all over the living room floor. His father told him to clean it up, but he refused outright. The father was surprised by the child's reaction. Why is he so disobedient? Should I punish him for being unhygienic and not following orders? But the father held back and asked the child, "Why don't you want to clean them up?" The child replied, "Because I want to eat them." It turned out the child wasn't challenging his father's authority or being unhygienic. He was just spreading them out to eat later for convenience. After hearing the child's answer, the father told him, "You can put them in a snack basket and still eat them. I just want the living room tidy." The little girl thought what her father said made sense and put all the snacks in the basket. In this example, it was precisely because the father asked one more question that he avoided a father-daughter battle. Of course, not all types of questions are effective. Rhetorical questions are meaningless. If the dad had asked, "Don't you know you should clean up?"
Such rhetorical questions only backfire.
That wraps up part 2 on how to parent unconditionally. Let's recap. The author first introduced unconditional parenting principles, summarized into 4 points.
First, clarify your motivation. This helps parents plan long-term without obsessing over minor setbacks.
Second, prioritize the parent-child relationship. A strong bond where kids feel loved and secure is the ultimate goal. Third, remember the child's age. Set age-appropriate expectations. Fourth, respect the child as an independent being with their own thoughts and feelings. But principles aren't enough. To practice unconditional parenting, focus on 3 areas. First, express unconditional love through balanced criticism and praise. Next, give kids decision-making opportunities. Finally, see things from the child's perspective to better understand their struggles. As the saying goes, education begins when children challenge us.
And education that instills fear isn't true education.
Real education is parents' enduring love, the bedrock of a child's healthy growth. Only when children receive this no-strings-attached love can they truly pursue passions fearlessly. All right, that concludes our interpretation of unconditional parenting. Reading notes are below the audio. See you next time.